So, I don't really know how to start these kinds of things. I mean, Freya said, Freya's my, apprentice. And I know, I always said I never planned on accepting one, but, she's a special case. You're probably up there all smug, thinking, I told you so. But Luds wanted me to take her in, and she's got lots of, potential. And I know, especially that I said no humans, because of the power differences, I guess, and the level they could reach as sorcerers, but I am. Let's let the stars speak tonight, right? Do you remember that? Do you remember how we'd all be gathered around a campfire, and whenever you would start to prattle on about something or another, we'd say that to avoid hearing more of your jabbering, or to avoid talking about useless nonsense, sometimes to avoid talking about scary or sad things. Oh, but you would get so pouty, like a child, glaring, crossing your arms, stomping around, refusing to converse. Though that last one offered us more relief than you intended. I remember once you got so mad that you didn't say goodnight to me for an entire week, and then you got even more upset when I didn't even notice. Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on the whole goodnight thing. You used to be so adamant that I say it back, and you wouldn't accept night as a proper response. No, say the good. If you care about someone, wish them a good night. You tried for years to get me to say it back, and your effort only made me want to refuse saying it even more. You drove Lutz and Hans crazy with your constant good night, no, good night, protesting on and on until you were too tired to continue. I always won, obviously. I could drive any argument into a stalemate. If it's a war of attrition, I'll always come out on top. I always outlast things in the end, after all. But the funniest part was that you tried so hard. On nights where I couldn't sleep, you'd hold on to that stubbornness, claiming that you wouldn't even try to go back to bed unless I said goodnight back. It acted as almost a fuel for you to cling on to consciousness, as you kept me company throughout the night. I guess that's why Freya told me to do this. Insomnia is not fun. I guess I sort of got used to a voice talking me through it until I managed to fall asleep. What a luxury. Freya thinks I'm restless because I'm getting nervous as we draw closer to the land of spirits. I think maybe she's right. I don't really know what I want to say to you when we finally meet again. Freya says to practice, and that this might even help me sleep. So, I guess it's my turn to prattle on endlessly, huh? Let's see. There's just so much that's happened. I don't know how much time I'll get to actually talk to you, or what parts I should even cover first. I guess I should start with what I want to say, but I don't even really have an idea of what that would be yet. So, for now, I guess, maybe I should talk about things you would want to hear? I know you'd like to hear about new fashion trends, but I've never really kept up with those sorts of things. You might be curious about the state of all your statues and paintings, but I can put your narcissistic little heart at ease and confirm that they're all still immaculate. What else would you want to know about? New kingdoms? The Magic Association? Villages? Oh, I think you'll like this one. Remember when we were traveling through Stromhaven? We encountered that horde of demonic ants, and the only way to prevent them from eating that small village nearby was to kill the nest. You stayed behind and defended the townspeople with the others while I went and destroyed the colony. I used all those new exploding incantations from that tome you had bought me, even though I threatened to first test them out on your wardrobe. In the end, there was this huge, ugly hole that the nearby river ended up emptying fetid, murky water into. The land surrounding it was almost barren, with all the fauna having been scared off, and all the flora dying from the taint of demonic energies, if they weren't half incinerated already. The villagers wanted it preserved as a landmark in honor of our heroic deeds, and I was given the privilege of naming it, since I basically created it. It was such an eyesore, and so naturally, I named it after you. You were mortified. I've never met a hero so vain. How can I leave behind such an ugly legacy? Remember? You sulked for days, even after we cleaned up the area a bit. Well, we passed our reserve a few months ago, and guess what? It's a paradise. Ugh, so irritating. You just have to make everything you encounter more beautiful than when you left it, don't you? The crater is now full of fish and other little animals, and the water is such a pristine, crystalline blue that it mirrors the sky, looking as if you can fall into a sea of clouds. The trees are young, but they're growing nicely, and much of the wildlife has returned. But the most begrudgingly spectacular thing, there's this new species of bird, some hybrid that resulted in the breeding of a dying race of minor phoenix and the dwindling local population of common sparrow. Of course, the magical birds are basically extinct now, only a few of them left, but the new species is something you'd love. They can only be found in this little oasis, and you have to get special permission to study them up close. They remind me a lot of you. They look absolutely ridiculous. They've got these big showy feathers that puff up when they do this silly little dance. Who would have thought that birds could be so vain? And they have a really interesting way of organizing their broods. It's mostly communal with the strongest birds, no matter the sex, acting as guards to protect the weaker birds from predators. And those birds stay behind to build these complex nesting grounds. It's funny. Apparently, the guard birds have a habit of attempting to collect materials for the nest themselves. Though it's not suited to their strengths, they'd bring back weak stems or too large twigs and incorporate them into the nest, thinking they're helping, only to have their work completely redone or even destroyed by another bird. Though the god bird is none the wiser, of course. Always so oblivious. Always so willing to help out. To be continued.